officers from services, DGAQA field establishments, scientists from SEMILAR, NAL, and DRDO labs, officers from DPSUs, industry forums, MSMEs, and industry partners. As we all know, that as part of DefExpo 2022, a series of webinars is being organized by MOD DDP to commemorate 75 years of independence and Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and promote Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. In a series, today's webinar is being held by DGAQA on recent QA initiatives in the field of military aviation. Today, we have speakers from DGAQA, Honorable Director General Sri S. Chawla, Sri A. Chandrasekaran, Director Aircraft and Aeromedical at headquarters, and Sri Rajesh Yadav, Director Tech Quad at headquarters. In today's session, we will have keynote address by our Director General Sri S. Chawla sir, and then we will have detailed presentation on recent QA initiatives by Sri A. Chandrasekaran, and further Sri Rajesh Yadav, Director Tech Quad, will be speaking about the process of capacity assessment and registration of forms and test labs. Further, in the end, DGAQA will be covering up the Q&A session and summing up the entire presentation. Now, I request my IT team to play a video on the DefExpo, please. Thank you, sir. Now, to further brief about Sri S. Chawla, DGAQA, sir. Sri S. Chawla, Director General AQA, is graduate in Mechanical Engineering and postgraduate from Delhi College of Engineering. He is having total 36 years of experience, including 30 years in quality assurance of military aviation stores, covering aero materials, composites, guided weapons, transport aircraft, UAVs, aero engines, etc. He worked at various work centers at Kanpur, Hyderabad, Koraput, and Delhi. He has been a key initiator for the QA reforms. He has framed third-party inspection policy document currently being utilized by HAL. He has been a key member in revision of current version of DDP MASS and AFQMS document. He has always been in forefront to support industry during indigenization of various stores, particularly aircraft tires, aircraft arrestor barrier system, aero materials, etc., are to name a few. He is a member of professional bodies like the Aeronautical Society of India, Institute of Engineers, the Nuclear Society of India, Society of Failure Analysis. He is co-authored the chapter on aero stores, inspection and quality assurance in the book titled Aerospace Materials and Material Technologies, published by Springer, Singapore. He is major project guide for MTech students of IIT institutes. He has also published international papers jointly in the Journal of Material Science and Engineering on fatigue behavior of nickel-based superalloys. He is in the receipt of DRDO Agri Award for development of aero materials for LCA, DRDO Technology Award for development of JFS castings. Now, I request our Director General, Sri S. Chawla, sir, to kindly start with the, sir, please.
Thanks, Mishra ji, for the nice words. Am I audible?
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Namaskar. A very good morning to all the participants from MOD, officers from services, DGAQA field establishments, SAMILAC, DRDO labs, NAL, DPSUs, MSMEs, industry forums, reps from industry partners, ladies and gentlemen. It's really glad that I am seeing the participants as of now is already more than 3 figures, and it's very heartening that the first ever webinar being organized by DGAQA is getting an excellent response. At the very outset, I thank MOD DDP for taking initiative. I'm glad that DEO has organized this extremely important webinar and choosing our topic, that is recent quality assurance initiatives in the field of military aviation. QA being our domain expertise, we have always been in forefront to actively participate in all such initiatives. DGAQA, that is Directorate General of Aeronautical Quality Assurance, was established way back in 1954 under Department of Defense Production, Ministry of Defense, and was initially called as DTDNPAR, that is Directorate of Technical Development and Production for Air Stores. Over the years, our roles and responsibilities were redefined, and now DGAQA is primarily focused as a regulatory body for quality assurance and final inspection of military aviation stores for use by all the 3 services, be it Indian Air Force, Army Aviation, Naval Aviation, as also Indian Coast Guard Aviation. And we do get requests from BSF and ARCI to provide QA coverage their own also. As of now, we are 47 field establishments of DGAQA, which are primarily resident in DRDO labs, ordnance factories, DPSUs, and few in private sector also, covering various aero stores, be it aircrafts, helicopters, unmanned air vehicles, aero engines, aero materials, air armament stores, guided weapons, radar systems, fuel oil lubricants, etc. We have prepared our own document, that is AFQMS, approval of firm and its quality management system, which is based on the best practices being followed in the aero industry worldwide, as also on international standards such as AS 9100 and the valuable experience which we have gained over the years. The present system under DGAQA AFQMS document is by re-verification of about 10 to 15% of the critical to quality stages. And primarily the major activity is by surveillance by way of various audits, be it a system audit, process audit, or product audit, as also some spot checks or spot audits. Product improvements are done based on the defects which are reported and the feedback from users based on reliability and maintainability studies. As of now, under our DGAQA FQMS, there are about 78 organizations which are having our DGAQA FQMS system. And now we are also encouraging the private industries to come forward and take this benefit and go for DGAQA FQMS system, wherein they will be able to avoid a lot of direct inspections, which presently we are undertaking. We do some direct inspections for small items like ground support equipments, flying clothing items, and in the case of foreign procurements, DGAQA rep is a part of the PDI and JRI teams along with the user services. This has been the QA philosophy which we have been following. Now, we have been always in the forefront to support Indian defense industries through various initiatives. Some of the recent initiatives which DGAQA has taken to improve the quality culture, empowering the industry, doing ease of business towards achieving further Atmanirbhar Bharat mission. I'll just list out. The detailed presentation will be covered by my colleagues in due course. The very first initiative was the release of DDP MASS 2021 by Honorable Raksha Mantri ji during the Aero India, wherein we contribute immensely. And this document has now been prepared on the lines of the international documents which are existing. This will help us in forging international alliance with our counterpart Western and the Eastern Bloc countries, since our guiding document is now on the similar lines, which is on international standard. It is quite exhaustive, and it has got, of course, number of different chapters, and it has been framed in such a way that it will be easier for the industry to, specific to that particular industry, to go through the document and look for the area. We have avoided, number of repetitions and be more specific and clear. Second major initiative was the updation of our AFQMS document, which in fact the last revision was in 2018, and now we have again put up post DDP MASS issue. We have again updating it further, and we are in fact awaiting and welcoming the inputs from industry to further update this document. The third most important initiative which was taken was the introduction of TPI, that is third party inspection services, which was not there erstwhile in aeronautical quality assurance. And with this, the products which are outsourced by main contractor initially, these can be outsourced to TPI. As of now, about 7 private organizations which have been assessed and approved by DGAQ also. And I'm very happy that HAL LCA division is in the forefront and they are utilizing the services of TPI. With this, they are able to keep their trained QC manpower giving coverage for their own main integrated projects like aircrafts and helicopters. And this is reducing their workload, which they have been sending their QC people to the private firms for carrying out the inspection duties there. I suggest other PSUs and DRDO labs also can take the benefit of this TPI system, which was introduced about 2 years back. Next initiative was the introduction of new concept of quality performance indicators. This is a very new concept which we worked together with the DPSUs, primarily HAL and Indian Air Force. And this model has been developed, and presently it is under trial execution at 3 important divisions of HAL. We are further maturing this model so that we will implement in due course in the industry. Capacity assessment and registration of private firms and test labs towards expansion of defense industry is already being done by DGAQA. As of now, about 86 firms and about 13 test labs are having registration with DGAQA. Next initiative was assessment and providing certificate for fit for military use and the testing and certification to the prospective Indian defense exporters for their products. This saves a lot of time. As you know, the certification for qualification and certification for aero stores can be a lengthy affair, which involves a number of qualification testings and trials. So where the industry can take ab initio and they can develop the stores and then get this certificate, so that future procurements, the time can be saved, as also they can explore the export market with the certification already in hand. Next one is the DGAQA is continuously supporting industry through involvement during various activities in indigenous design and development, material substitution, life extension studies, etc. Now, DGAQA has also extended its outreach with opening of 5 new field offices last year: Chennai, Kasargod in Kerala, Panchkula near Chandigarh, Mamoon near Punjab and J&K border, and Misamari in Northeast. Now, with this, we have expanded our footprints all across our great nation. Now, it is very heartening that Indian D&D projects such as LCA, ALH, LUH, LCH, STT-40 are progressing very well. However, the quality and reliability of products needs to be demonstrated in the design and development phase itself, so that we achieve optimum user certification. In the present era, the quality of products are being compared at world market. Also, Indian products are in a way to find its place in global market. So at this stage, the quality of products are paramount along with its technological characteristics to prove supremacy in air defense. DGAQA is continuously updating its QA processes in Indian military aviation by adopting best QA practices adopted by USA, France, UK, and committed for best quality products for Indian Defense Forces. We have recently had discussions with our counterpart, DCMA USA, and are working towards having an international bilateral agreement for providing reciprocal QA coverage at our respective countries. In the end, I urge one and all to put our best efforts and be committed for producing best quality products for Atmanirbhar Bharat and also for global market. Let us ensure safety of flight at all times. I request now my team members to go for detailed presentation. All the very best. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. With nice words, we have started. Now, brief about Sri A. Chandrasekaran, Director Aircraft and Aeromed. He has joined the CAS cadre in 1997 and has about 26 years in aviation QA and served in various field establishments, including Koraput, aircraft, overall, and helicopter divisions at Bangalore, headquarters DGAQA at various groups, PPFOL, aircraft, and Aeromed. He has vast experience on aero engines of Russian Virgin and various aircraft projects such as Jaguar, AJT Hawk, and helicopter projects such as Cheetal, Chetak, ALH, and LCH. He has visited Messrs. BAE System UK for AJT Hawk training. He has contributed immensely in the field of quality and reliability during production of aircraft and helicopter. He has been instrumental in revision of DDP MASS as DGAQA member in JSE and forming various AQA directives. Now I request Shri A. Chandrasekaran sir to start his presentation. Sir, please.
Thank you, BK Mishra. Good morning to all participants and viewers. During the opening remarks by DG, he brought brief about the QA initiative by DGAQA. Further in this presentation, let me explain more details about the recent QA initiative in the field of military aviation by DGAQA. In this open forum, as many as new MSME and startup who ventured into the military aviation are participating, and even armed service officers are keep transferring, I feel it will be useful to share about genesis of DGAQA, role and function before coming into the main topic. Let us go to the presentation now. Recent QA initiative in the field of military aviation. Let me start with contents, introduction, that is genesis of DGAQA, role and functions, QA methodology adopted, then recent QA initiatives. Introduction, that is genesis. The DDP, Directorate of Technical Development and Production Air, was created on 31st August 1954. We feel proud that ex-President Dr. Abdul Kalam started his professional career with our esteemed organization. In 1996, rechristened as DGAQA, with the changes in the mandate of organization to focus on quality assurance, as our DG has told in the brief. DGAQA is the regulatory body for quality assurance, final inspection of military aviation stores for use by IAF, Army Aviation, Naval Aviation, Indian Coast Guard, Border Security Force, and Aviation Research Center, etc. See, DGAQA is a regulatory authority because to avoid the conflict of interest between the customer, the main contractor, and the user, DGAQA as a neutral agency has been kept by the government since beginning. DGAQA is also the nodal agency for Missile System Quality Assurance, MSQA, and Strategic System Quality Assurance Group, SSQAG. DGAQA headquarters and 47 field establishment across India. This is what the 47 field establishment in HAL, ordnance factories, Bell, BDL, Midani, and DRDO labs set up. Evaluation of DGAQA. 1953, creation of Defense Scientific Service, DSS. In 1954, formation of DTP and Air. 1979, trifurcation of DSS into DACAs, DDP Air, DRDS, DRDO, DQAS, DGAQA. DACAs, Defense Aeronautical Quality Assurance Service. DRDS, Defense Research and Development Service. DQAS, Defense Quality Assurance Service. This is for the ground and 1996, DDP rechristened as DGAQA. 2015, DACA's Group A Organized Service has been formed. Interaction of DGAQA with various agencies like Development and Production Agency. We interact with the DRDO, DPSU, ordnance factories, public sectors, oil refineries, and private sector. We constantly interact with users, Indian Air Force, Army Aviation, Naval Aviation, Coast Guard, and BSF. Other organizations we interact with DGCA, DGQA, DGNAI, CEMILAC, Director of Standards, and the Bureau of Indian Standards. This is what this role of DGAQA is mainly the final acceptance and inspection authority during production, repair, overhaul, and upgradation of military aviation stores at various defense PSU, ordnance factories, DRDO lab, oil refineries, private sector, as well as off-the-shelf procurement. During design and development (D&D) phase, DGAQA works in advisory role, providing critical inputs during formulation of qualification test plan, participation and coordination of all inspection, testing, and ground and flight trials, etc., while final clearance is given by CEMILAC. DGAQA technical agency for providing support to armed forces, MOD, and production agencies in post-production process for the military aviation as per DAP and DPM. Generally, DGAQA derives the role from the DAP and DPM and contracts. Functions of DGAQA. Let me explain more details about the functions. Provide inputs for the service qualitative requirement and request for proposal, RFP. Participation in procurement process of user services during technical evaluation, during FET, contract negotiation committee, contract vetting, airworthiness certification process, along with the CEMILAC, quality assurance plan and acceptance test procedure ATP during the production phase, PDA and JRI for the foreign procurement, defect investigation, incident and accident investigation, corrective implementation to prevent recurrences, fleet upgradation and life extension process. Further, stipulate quality assurance requirements, grant of approval to main contractor, as our DG said, AFQMS coming into picture, aviation test house, QC and lab personnel approval, certification during design, development, and production of ground support equipment, tool and test equipment as per the user requirements, quality audits in the form of system, product, and process for main contractor and the supply chain, participation in joint quality audit at production agencies and IAF bases, along with reps of IAF, HAL, and CEMILAC, carry out agency function for air armament stores, parachutes, GSC stores, and aeromedical stores, etc. We do capacity assessment and registration of forms and test labs, assessment of third-party inspection bodies, product certification under Defense Export Promotion Scheme, issue AQA directives and guidelines, quality rating maturity assessment for enhanced delegation, oversee the QA function of the industry towards the compliance of stipulated QA and contractual requirements, continual study and update the QA methodology of DGAQA at par with best global practices. As per revised DDP MASS 21, DGAQA function as technical airworthiness authorities jointly with Similac. Let me give the functions at a glance. As I already told, technical support, then QA during design and development, DGAQA stages and final inspection, final acceptance, AFQMS, registration of firm, audits and surveillance, court of inquiry, DI, local modification committee, local type certification committee, local concession committee, for product QA certification for export promotion under Atmanirbhar Bharat, certification of ground support equipment, test rigs, etc. QA philosophy and methodology adopted. See, DGAQA follows risk-based preventive QA approach in line with international practices adopted for military aviation stores. DGAQA has developed an in-house model for quality management system for the industry, that is DGAQA AFQMS, approval of firm and its quality management system. DGAQA AFQMS incorporates all the requirements stipulated in AS 9100D aerospace standard, that is quality management system, requirement for aviation, space and defense organizations. Incorporates additional requirements for QMS based on our experience while working with the DPSU, DRDO labs, ordnance factories, oil refineries, MRO organization and private industries. QA philosophy methodology adopted. Last revision of DGAQA AFQMS was issued in 2018 after exhaustive deliberation with all stakeholders. As part of DGAQA AFQMS system, the quality control organization of the firm, the DRDO lab, is assessed and approved from shop floor level QC to the head of the QC organization. As of now, 74 firms are holding DGAQA AFQMS approval. Delegation-based QA methodology. The firm's quality management assessment and approval. This is what the AFQMS process I'm just explaining. Firms head of quality and release note signatory assessments and approval, the inspection personnel approval based on eligibility criteria and assessment and approval, firms special process assessment and approval, critical to quality stage, re-verification. Approximately we do 10 to 20% of QC and QA stages done by the main contractor. Issue of certificate of safety for flight and audits and surveillance and spot checks during our way of QA activities, and enforcement actions in the detailed presentation. Further, we will give in a different aspect now how enforcement action we are doing in the recent QA initiative during the revision of 2018. This is the QA methodologies. DGAQA AFQMS system. We do direct verification at the critical stages with the HL QC and Bell QC and the contractors QCs. We do surveillance QA, spot check, quality audit. This DGAQA AFQMS is the main the recent initiative as per the 2018. Earlier it was AF5O and the quality control system requirements. Approval of firms, inspection organization and quality control system requirement. We have to do two documents. The two documents are merged to the AFQMS document. Now we do the re-verification at critical to quality stages. Coming to the direct inspection, the ground support equipment, aeromedical and ordnance factories, we do the direct inspection stages from initial to the final product. Joint inspection, foreign acquisition, we do PD and JRI jointly with the user services. QA process and milestones. This is what the inspection and quality control and quality assurance and self-control and delegation stages now is being evolved. DGAQA stages, then finally acceptance, release of stores to the user, surveillance checks, quality audits, EQA directives, approvals. These are all the governing. The model what DG explained about the enhanced delegation, that is a quality rating maturity model. In subsequent slide in the recent QA initiative, I will explain further. QA oversight and assurance. We start with the AFQMS audit, then product process system audit, then quality surveillance and spot checks, inspection activities. This is at a glance. Applies government documents issued by MOD, DAP 2020 we follow, DPM 2009. We are deriving our authority from the DAP and DPM issued by Secretary DP and MOD as our DG explained. DDP MASS IMTA 21 jointly issued by Secretary DP and Secretary R&D. Issued by DGAQA, the document AFTMS issue 2, approval of firms and quality management system, SOP for capacity assessment and registration of firms at test lab, AQA directive, organization manual, DGAQA organization manual, policy document for third-party inspection. This is a DGAQA work spectrum, aeronautics, air armament and missiles. Three field we give a coverage. The major products we handle: aircraft in 1980s, MiG-21, Cheetah. Then 90s, MiG-27 is now obsolete. Jaguar, Mirage, Garnier, and upgrade for MiG-21, Jaguar, Mirage is going on. Then the latest Su-30, then LCA Mark 1, then Hawk, then LCH, LUH. This is all in that pipeline. Missiles, MSQA. There are a lot of under development, and HDD-40, AMCA, the new projects are coming up. Saras Mark 2 also is coming up. This is what the recent QA initiative by DGAQA, the capacity assessment and registration of firm, including MROs, assessments and registration of test lab. My colleague, Mr. Rajesh Yadav, will give a detailed presentation about the capacity assessment and registration of test labs. Third one is introduction of third-party inspection agency for outsourced products for the non-critical and ground equipments. Revision of DGAQA AFTMS document, revision of DDP MASS IMTA 2021, the provision of QA airworthiness coverage for the indigenous development and certification of aero stores without firm orders towards export promotion, issue of certificate on fit for military use and testing certificate to the prospective vendor, development of model for quality rating of firms, sharing of best GQA practices and reciprocal QA arrangements with other countries, setting up of new DGAQA field offices. Coming to the third-party inspection, a policy document and third-party inspection has been formulated jointly with HAL and initially approved for use by HAL division in respect of their non-critical stores. This document was launched by Honorable RM at Lucknow. So far, 6 agencies approved and the 7th agency is under process. There is also a provision of AFTMS approval to QMS organization of subcontractor, thereby avoiding new pre-dispatch inspection at the outsourced vendor place. TPA policy document is already available in DGAQA website. You can download it and you can go through it. Suggested action for other production and development organizations, as I have DG told. On similar lines, it is suggested to prepare a TPA document in respect of your store that can be audited and approved by DGAQA for implementation thereof. The revision of AFTMS, as I already told, in 2018 we have revised it. Approval is granted to the firm wherein QC organization is approved. They have a head of quality, release note signatory, test report signatory, special process and NET personnel and inspectors are approved up to shop floor level, and DGAQA overseeing their activities with our re-verification stage and surveillance inspection and quality audits. HA division, Bell division, Midani, BDL, oil PSUs, AV Oil, Reliance Petroleum Limited, etc. are having AFTMS approval so far. Provisioning of subcontractors of main contractor to get approval of subcontractors quality management system from their main contractor. In this, the main contractor also can do the ASQMS, approval of subcontractor quality management system. By using this AFTMS document, the main contractor can give the ASQMS to their subcontractor so that they can approve their head of quality, they can approve their inspectors, their special process, and what DGAQA is doing against the main contractor, the main contractor can do towards their subcontractor, so that the minimal work can be done by the main contractor. 4 levels of enforcement actions to maintain the QMS in place. The earlier document in 2011 and before that, this enforcement action was not properly brought out. But in 2018, the enforcement action in 4 different levels, it is mentioned very clearly. In the later slide, I will explain further. The above document was revised, incorporating latest international QMS standard, that is AS 9000 under Division D, and incorporating the suggestion from various stakeholders. AFTMS system in military aviation. This is what now this jelly fish diagram for production agency, customer, and the DGAQA interface. User service, final acceptance DGAQA, main contractors of aircraft, aero engine, and major system. These main contractor, they are having the AS 9100, they get a DGAQA approval. We do regular periodic audit, surveillance checks, first article inspection, and DGAQA re-verification stage, by which DGAQA controls the main contractor for accepting the final product. But again, similarly, the main contractor controlling their tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3 vendors. We help them to do joint QMS audit. We issue a AQA directive on first article inspection requirement and first article inspection and outsourcing guideline, by which tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 vendors are controlled by the main contractor. As I told, this is the main contractor's zone. And TPI, the third party inspection body, can be engaged in the outsourced product. This is what the 4 levels of enforcement actions. Level 1, as a level no, initially when the officer verifies and he observes some discrepancies or abnormalities in the re-verification stage or spot check or the surveillance inspection or the audit, the DGAQA, the junior officer, will issue a letter asking HAL to correct the system. Then further, if the correction is not improved, then the advisory letter will be issued by a senior level officer for correcting the system. If that is not there in the case, based on the series of the case, the withdrawal of inspector and welder's approval will be done in the level 1 action by the senior level officer. Further, the level 2, there is a warning notice given by the director level. Then level 3, partial suspension of the systems and the area will be given by ADG. Then further full suspension of the AFQMS also can be recommended by the ADG concerned, because generally the ADG recommends them for the approval or renewal. If there is a lot of non-compliance and a lot of lapses in the quality management system, and the ADGs are empowered to recommend for the suspension. And finally, the level 4 action is the approval revocation by DGAQA. Then further, what is the action to be taken against that AFQMS organization will be taken accordingly. Revision of DDP MASS, design, development, production of military air system and airborne stores. Revised to the international standard in line with the EMA 21 for gaining the mutual recognition. When Indian products should be recognized with the foreign market, then that all formats, all procedural requirements to be in line with the international standard. That is what we have put a lot of effort, and CEMILAC jointly that the JAC has made this international in this document to the international standard EMA 21. Our document is called IMTA 21. DGAQA and CEMILAC are called as a technical airworthiness authority. So far, this terminology was not used. Now, in the revised DDP MASS, DGAQA and CEMILAC are the part of technical airworthiness authority. Accordingly, now these activities are done. Airworthiness framework, that IMTA 21, there is a second document. It gives more exhaustive details about the certification process. And IMTA forms, earlier the DDP MASS having the forms, but it was whether it is a design form or is the production form. But that IMTA forms are identified properly, and DGAQA role and CEMILAC role are defined in the IMTA forms. And some forms, the production phase, DGAQA will issue the forms, final certification, and the design phase, CEMILAC will give the final clearance of the particular process. Coming to the next initiative, the QA airworthiness coverage for the aero store without firm order, public exports. As per the direction of DDP MOD, DGAQA, CEMILAC has started the provision of quality assurance and airworthiness certification coverage in respect of various aviation store without firm supply order, and also which are meant for exports. This is the MOD reference. Firms may take up development of highly consumption aero stores, that is aero material, tires, fasteners, cables, wires, FOL stores, etc. for indigenous as well as export market. Issue of certificate on fit for military aviation use and testing and certificate. As per MOD guideline, SOP is formulated for issue of certificate by QA agents, that is DGQA, DGAQA, DGNA to the prospective vendors. The certificate is issued under 2 categories: fit for Indian military use to the product which are technically qualified for meeting Indian military requirement. This certificate in respect of stores can be used for export purpose also. Testing and certificate to the products meeting QR and can be useful to the prospective exporters. Quality rating maturity model, QRM. The new concept of quality rating of a firm based on the specific quality performance indicator has been developed by DGAQA in association with IAF, HAL and DSA Hyderabad. QPI pertains to customer, IAF or Army Aviation or whatever it is, the QA, DGAQA and manufacturer. The above model is presently being experimented at 3 pilot divisions, as I DG told. This is the model. I just quality rating is rating 1 to 5, and there is a IAQA checklist 11 business process, which is having the 44 assessment points, maximum mark 300, and quality performance indicator QPI 24 assessment point, maximum mark 300. The threshold value fixed is 92.5% for the benchmark value, and this maturity score is 3.5 kept. The main contractors and customer and regulator, we have 7 QPIs and 9 QPIs and 8 QPIs identified for the maximum mark of 100. Each QPI is being defined and benchmark for both HAL division. We have a MRO division at Bangalore as well as Nasik division has been now done trial, and we are looking for the Korva also now. Recently we are going to do. And this is what now main contractors, QPIs, production permit rate, defect rate, LRU aggregate withdrawal rate per aircraft, quality escape rate, number of flights and aircraft contractor, on-time delivery, number of flight snacks. This is what some of these QPI for the customer, number of user permission, public aircraft, number of customer complaints, on-time delivery to the specified requirement, the number of flights per aircraft, ferry handling, number of flights per aircraft customer, number of ground acceptance party snack, then rate of 0 to 0 hours failure, LRU removed on PWR, serviceability of a loss on account of activities related to HAL. Then regulator DGAQA, QPIs, concession rate, on-time observation closure rate, number of withdrawals during given period, QC inspector and welder, DGAQA observations during spot check, quality escape rate, the number of 1090 snacks, QMS non-compliance rate, number of major non-conformance during the DGAQA audit. These are all the QPIs for the different thing. Coming to the sharing of best GQA practices and reciprocal QA arrangements with other countries, as our TG was telling, see, we have an Indo-French bilateral agreement. This agreement was between DDP Air and DGA France, providing bilateral quality assurance coverage for the ALUT in their respective countries at the rate of 1% contract cost. Further, we'll have to we'll have to go for an extension of this contract agreement. We have recently an Indo-US bilateral agreement in process as part of DTA, Defense Technology and Trade Initiative. The dialogue with the DCMA US is under process for bilateral agreement on providing QA coverage and sharing the best QA practice in respective countries. In this, we have a couple of meeting, BC meeting we had. And the idea is now a lot of Indian industries, they make a military component and they're exporting it. And so for them now DCMA, the QA agency, they are coming and doing the QA coverage. The idea is now we are sharing the QA practice with the DCMA. Mostly they said this DGAQA AFKMS appears to be the similar one followed by DCMA. So we are going for the gap analysis. What is the gap between DCMA and DGAQA functionality? The gaps are adjusted with the training of DGAQA officer at DCMA, so that now we can have a QA coverage of their product in India and our product by DCMA. So this agreement is going to happen in due course. Indo-Spain reciprocal QA arrangement for the upcoming project C290. This is also under process now. Setting up of new DGAQA field offices, as our DG told, we established 5 places after establishment of new HL facility at the Kasargod and Misamar and Mohammed. DGAQA has also opened a new field offices. Further, as per the BEL requirement, Panchkula and Chennai, we have 2 new field offices have been opened up. Actually, we see that Kasargod HL facility is there, and Misamar and Mohammed. Army Aviation, they wanted ALH mini hub, MRO hub, mini hub they wanted. So accordingly, Misamari and Mamun, instead of the aircraft fly to Bangalore, helicopter fly to Bangalore to avoid all the times, the Misamari and Mamun, they are going to have a HAL facility already it is started functioning, and in future they will have a big MRO facility at Misamari and Mamun. These field offices has enhanced DGAQA presence and outreach in countries geographically. These offices are also interested for coverage to private industry in their locality. I think I have finished. I think Mishra can further take over.
Really very nice presentation. Now, a brief about my next speaker, Sri Rajesh Yadav, Director TechCord, sir. He has started his career in defense aviation way back in year 1993 as commissioned officer in Indian Air Force in Aeronautical Engineering Mechanical Branch. Later, he joined DACA's cadre in year 2001. He is a BE Mechanical Engineering from D. Crust, Morathal, and Masters in Engineering in Quality Engineering and Management from BIT Mesra. In Indian Air Force, he worked on N-32 aircraft and OSA AK and Pichora missile systems. In DGAQA, he worked on hydraulic system aggregate of Jaguar aircraft, fuel system aggregates of MiG-21 and MiG-27 aircraft, and Indra and Rohini radar system. He also worked on ROH of Cheetah, and Lancer helicopter at Barakpur. Presently, he is heading the Director Tech Code and Cyber Security at headquarters. Now I request Sir to kindly start his presentation. Sir, please.
Yeah, thanks, VK. I'll start with my regards to our Director General AQA, sir. Very warm good morning to all the attendees who are attending today's webinar. The TechCord Directorate at headquarters DGAQA is the processing and coordinating agency for registration of firms and the approval of test labs by DGAQA. And today I'm going to speak about the process of registration of firms being carried out by DGAQA. And let me tell you at the outset that my target audience today is our MSME industry and the people and our people in private industry, because these two activities of DGAQA have a direct bearing on MSME and private industry. And today I shall cover the why, what, and how of registration. That is why registration is important for government, for armed forces, as well as for our industry, for our MSME and private industry. And I'll cover what is eligible for registration, what are the categories under which we carry out registration, and what are the prerequisites of registration. And then I'll cover how registration process is carried out by DGAQA. In the end, I'll discuss the approval of test labs by DGAQA. And before concluding, I'll briefly touch upon between the difference between the approved test labs and the registered firms. So, ladies and gentlemen, I start with why registration is important. Why is it important for the government and for the armed forces? See, to maintain the operational readiness at all times, our armed forces need to procure items and equipments. And the revenue procurement of items and equipments is carried out by the central procurement agencies at respective service headquarters. That is the Air Headquarters, Army Headquarters, and the Naval Headquarters. And for the procurement agencies to seamlessly and efficiently carry out their procurement action, they need to know the possible sources. And they need to have a ready list of suppliers who have the capability to supply the desired goods and products to them in the right quantity, of the right quality, and within the desired time frame. Moreover, government wants to ensure transparency in the public procurement, and it also wants to ensure equal opportunity to all the possible manufacturers and vendors. So the registration of firms by DGAQA ensures these three things. One, it provides a ready database of the assessed and approved manufacturers and suppliers to the services. 2, it achieves transparency in public procurement. 3, it provides an equal opportunity to all the possible manufacturers and vendors. Now, why registration is important for manufacturers and vendors? Why is it that they should go for registration by DGAQA? And what is the benefit that accrues to them if they get registered with DGAQA?
Sir, hello. Good morning, sir. Sir, I am attending a webinar, sir. That is why I take the.
See, the limited tender inquiries by the procurement agencies are floated only to the known sources. And the firms registered by DGAQA are the sources known to them. So you get eligible to get the limited tender. You get the tender inquiries whenever there is a limited tender inquiry floated by the services. And even in the case of open tender inquiry, whenever an unregistered firm bids and its bid is considered eligible by the procurement agency, it is before further processing, it is mandatory for the firm to get its capacity verified from DGAQA as to whether it has got the capability to manufacture and supply the desired products to the services in the right quantity, of the right quality, and within the desired time frame. And the registration of firms by DGAQA basically ensures this thing. It obviates the problem that the firm has to face to get its capacity verified during an ongoing procurement process, because at times it becomes a last-minute hassle for them. A firm registered by DGAQA is a capacity verified firm. It is considered as a capacity verified firm by the procurement agencies. And I want to tell you one more thing, that there is interdepartmental and inter-services acceptability of registration. That is, a firm registered with DGAQA is considered as a registered firm by all the departments, by all the organizations, and by all services within MOD. Now I'll come to what is eligible for registration, because this is one area where we keep getting a lot of queries from the people in industry and MSME. And we find that they have a lot of doubts, a lot of confusion, and a lot of apprehensions about this particular aspect, that what is it that is eligible for a registration with DGAQA. Well, to get registered with DGAQA, the firm must have the capability to produce a product, a defense aviation related product, and the product must conform to the specifications. Now, on this particular aspect also, what kind of specifications and where they can get the details of the specifications which are acceptable to DGAQA, we get a lot of queries from the people. So here I'll I'll elaborate this particular aspect slightly in detail. There can be various types of specifications. The industrial specifications, they are widely prevalent in the industry. The people in industry are generally aware of these specifications and standards, like the Indian standard, the British standard, DIN, and the GOST for the Russian origin equipments. Then there are defense specifications, which are the specialist defense equipments. And the examples of these specifications are Indian Defense JSS, that is Joint Services Specifications, the American MIL standards, MIL specs, etc. Now we realize, and it has been our experience, that the people in industry and in our MSME, they generally are not aware of our JSS and the items and equipments which are covered by these JSS. If you go to the website of the Directorate of Standardization, Department of Defense Production, ddp.dos.gov.in, there under the tab Standards, if you go to the Published Standards, you will find the JSS. Now these, if you go there, you'll find a list of more than 6,000 specifications of the specialist defense items and equipments. So the industry, the people in industry can go and have a look there, and if they have any product conforming to these specifications, they can anytime approach DGAQA and for registration. And if they have a product, we'll certainly register them. Now there are items which are indigenized by various agencies like the DRDO labs, the QA agencies, that is DGAQA, DGQA, DGNAI, and the service headquarters themselves. And the specifications of those items are with those agencies. And the details and the reference and details of these specifications also the people in industry can find on the website of Directorate of Standardization. If you go to this website ddpdus.gov.in, under the tab standards, you'll find other standards there. If you go to departmental specs, if you see the departmental specs there, you'll find there are more than 3,000 items which are there, whose specifications are available there. So these are the places where you can find the details of the specifications conforming to which the products can be there for defense services. And let me tell you that this is not the exhaustive list of specifications. There can be various other types of specifications and standards to which the products can conform to. For example, there are certain requirements laid down by the International Civil Aviation Organization, the ICAO. They have the standards and requirements laid down for various items and equipments of the aeronautical use. So if you have a product conforming to those kind of requirements, we will go ahead with your registration. Now, this particular aspect, since there is a lot of confusion amongst the people in industry, I'll explain it with some examples. And these examples are nothing but the extracts of the product ranges of some of the vendors registered with us. The very first example that you see, it is a hose assembly conforming to aerospace standards 1339 and 1946. So in this case, you have a very defined product conforming to defined specifications. The second example is that of fasteners conforming to a defined size. So here again, you have a product conforming to defined specifications. The third example that you see on the screen, this firm doesn't have any product which it can directly provide to the services. But then we have a criteria of value addition. The value addition is nothing but the capability of a manufacturer to carry out a process to realize a final product from that process. The process may be on raw material, it may be on semi-finished products, but the idea is that the manufacturer should have the capability to carry out some process so that a final product is finally realized because of that process. Now, the examples of this particular thing, the value addition, can be, say, machining process, the finishing processes, the integration of sub-assemblies into an assembly, the integration of assemblies into a final product, or just a minute, I think there is some issue with the screens sharing. Mr. Mishra, can you tell me whether you are getting the screen?
Till now, we are not getting, sir.
Yeah, now we are getting. I am getting now.
Now we are getting, sir. Till now, we are not getting, sir.
I'll just come back.
You can make it bigger one, sir, with slide. Yes.
Just a minute.
So
If
yes, sir.
you
Now,
see
now
the examples here, I hope you got the previous slides. They were visible or not? Okay, I'll carry on further. Now you see these examples. The third example that you see, it is the example of value addition, wherein the farm doesn't have a direct product, but it has the capability to provide some value addition to the entire process. The examples of value addition can be the machining, the finishing processes, the let's say integration of sub-assemblies into assembly, the integration of various assemblies into a final product, and say integration of the software into hardware and so on. So if the firm has the value addition capability, it is also eligible for registration. The last example that you see is again this particular firm doesn't have any direct product, but it has the capability for maintenance, repair, and overall of a defense aviation related product. So if a firm has a capability for the maintenance, repair, and overall, yes, it is eligible for registration with DGAQA. Now I'll come to the categories under which we carry out registration. And there are four broad categories under which we carry out registration. This is production. If the firm has the production facility, it is categorized as a P firm, production firm. If the firm has the development and production facility, it is categorized as development and production firm. But if a firm has all the facilities of design, development, and production, it is a DDP firm. And the firm having the capability of maintenance, repair, and overall is an MRO firm. So these are the broad categories under which we carry out the registration. And I'll come to what are the prerequisites of registration. Basically, we assess a firm on three broad criteria. One is the technical capability, second is the financial capability, third is the QMS, that is the quality management system. By technical capability, we mean that the firm must have the plant and machinery, the technical capability to manufacture a system, the test facilities, the quality control facilities, and the other support system which should be there for production of the items. For the firms to supply to the defense services, they must have the financial soundness. That is, they should be able to invest and incur expenditure on the to realize a product, to manufacture a product for the services. Third is the firm must have the thorough knowledge of the quality management system requirements laid down in various standards. The say like ISO 9001 or say AS 9100. But let me also tell you that this is not the mandatory requirement. In case the firm doesn't have the certification, direct ISO or AS certification, still we'll go and we'll make our own assessment. And if they have the QMS system conforming to the internet, the QMS requirements, yes, we'll go ahead with the registration of firms. Now I'll come to the how part of it. How registration process is carried out by DGAQA. Now the process starts with the application by the firm to Director Tech Cord at the headquarters DGAQA. Then the scrutiny of the documents is carried out by a scrutiny team. If everything is okay, we go ahead with the physical verification and capacity assessment of the firm at its works. And if everything is okay with that, then we proceed ahead with the next stage, which is the recommendation by Director Tech Cord. And finally, it is the approval by the accepting authority, which is Additional Director General at headquarters DGAQA. And once he accepts, the firm gets registered. And let me tell you that our SOP on registration of firms is available on our website, dgaqa.gov.in. The people in industry and MSME, they can go and have a look at our SOP. And let me also tell you that we are in the process of revising our SOP. And in the revised SOP, we are likely to come out with some more categories of registration in addition to the production, development and production, design, development and production, and MRO categories, under which we are currently carrying out registration. Now I'll come to the approval of test labs, because I have already covered the registration part of it. Now, with the government's initiatives of Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India, the role and participation of our MSME and our private industry is certainly going to grow immensely. And we in DGAQA, we are aware that for aeronautical systems to declare them finally suitable for use, they have to undergo a large number of tests. And our industry, if they get into the defense aviation sector, they'll have to approach the certified and approved test labs to get the tests done on their equipments. Now, as QA agency, we do accept the test reports from the NAVL accredited labs. But the issue is that so far, NAVL has been able to accredit, say, some 8,000 test labs. And in our country, we have, by an estimate, about 3 lakh test labs. So that is a huge gap. And so we have taken this initiative of approving the test labs on our own because we want to help our industry in this regard so that our industry, they can approach the DGAQA approved test labs also in addition to the NABL accredited test labs. Now, the test labs that we approve, we have 7 broad disciplines under which we carry out the approval of test labs. And those disciplines are sharing. So those disciplines, I hope they are available on your screen. So any test lab which has the facilities, which has the test facilities in these particular disciplines, they can approach DGAQA and if found okay, will approve the test lab. And I also want to tell you here that we have devised our assessment criteria of test labs based on ISO 17025, the standard which is followed by NABL also for the assessment of the test labs. So we have maintained the integrity of the assessment criteria. It is in line with the assessment criteria which is followed by NABL also for the approval of or accreditation of the test labs. Now, before concluding, I'll just touch upon the difference between the registered firms and the approved test labs. See, the firms registered by DGAQA, that is the registered firms, it is, they are basically for the procurement agencies so that they can go to these firms for their requirements of products and services and they know that where they can go to for the procurement action. Whereas the approved test labs are the ones whose test reports are acceptable to DGAQA, acceptable as QA agency and acceptable as the final acceptance agency for defense aeronautical products. So that is the basic difference between a registered firm and an approved test lab. So that was all from me. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind. Yeah, Mr. Mishra. May I request our Director General, sir, to please give his concluding remarks. And in case there are any questions from the audience, please answer. We will try to answer those questions.
Thanks, Yadav and Chandrasekhar earlier. It was really nice, a detailed presentation. I am finding a number of complimentary messages in our chat box and
Yes, sir.
few suggestions too. I mean, probably we feel, probably our time is a little out. So what I feel, we can go through all these suggestions and we'll examine those and certainly improve wherever, good inputs are there from the industry partners. As a closing address, I now thank all for their participation as well as the patient hearing. I have some points for the industry partners. they can look into these and we can together move ahead with a faster pace. Our industry partners, first of all, we feel should upgrade their quality management systems to AS 9100 standard from the present ISO 9000 levels, which is a generic in nature. Of course, most of the good aero industries have already moved, but wherever our MSMEs and small scale industries who are still in ISO levels, so my first suggestion is they can move to the AS 9100 quality management standard, which is an international approved standard, which is also requirement for your export for defense and aerospace industry. It's a prerequisite for that. Now, next is MSME industry. They can utilize the provision of the TPI services against the orders which are placed on them by various DPSUs, ordnance factories, DRDO labs for their outsourced products. Either they can utilize the facilities of TPI or they can get AFQMS approval through the main contractor for their own quality management system. In turn, as we give to the main contractor, so main contractor can give to the industry directly, so that the requirement of pre-dispatch inspection can be avoided. Now, third thing which I suggest my industry partners is that they can take ab initio development on NCNC basis, no cost, no commitment. There is a provision, and in which DGAQ and SEMILAC will be together help them seeking testing and certification as per the MOD guidelines. This will save a lot of time in certification, and they can be faster supply the stores as also for exports. Now, industry partners may also seek a provision of that fit for military use. Many times, the industry partner might be not L1 and he may be L2, but he has gone through all the process of procurement as per our DAP 20, and he got, FET, all satisfactory trials done. So in those sense, he can get this fit for Indian military use certification, which we are giving, and that will help him for tapping the export market for his product. Now, DGAQ already carrying out capacity assessment and registration of firms, which my colleague Mr. Yadav has explained quite nicely. And this I encourage, other MSME also who want to come forward, they can register with us. That will help them in, putting bidding against the service headquarters central procurement. Since they are already registered, they will be able to get tender inquiries and for the products for which they are already registered with us. So whichever industry partners they want to do, details already was there in the presentation. They can come to us and we will certainly in a faster pace register them for the products for which they have the adequate facilities with regards to production as also for testing infrastructure. Now, DGAQ is also starting grant of AFQMS approval to private industries. Primarily so far, major of the TPSUs or DRDO labs or oil refineries, either in private sector or public sector, they are having our AFQMS approval, wherein it's a kind of a self-certification, or it's a equivalent of the, to some extent green channel policy, which is there for non-airborne stores. And now we have started, encouraging private industry. So I, suggest our industry partner who are having regular supply orders from the services, where DGAQ is the inspection authority, they can certainly, seek our DGAQ FQMS approval for their quality control organization, which will help, in faster and avoiding any repetition of a quality testing by both the agencies. Now, hand-holding with MSMEs and private industry in development, production, testing and certification of defense stores we are doing, and we feel that will continue with a more rigorous this. And with this, I thank all of you for participation in the webinar, and I request you and welcome you all to kindly visit our stall at DefExpo for our further interactions. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Hello, thank you, sir. I think it is in detail covered. There is a one question from Mr. Sisir. IAF seeks equipment and aircraft specific registration. Our company is registered for design, development and production of avionics and equipment EW systems. This may kindly be clarified. I request Rajesh Yadav sir to kindly answer the question, sir, please.
Yeah, we can answer this particular question. Now, as I get from this question, the firm is registered as DDP, Design, Development and Production of Avionics and EW Systems. Now, if the firm wants to go for design and development activities and then thereafter further production, yes, their registration is valid. And if there is such an activity from the services, they are eligible for to bid against such requirement. But the issue here in this firms, from the statement of the firm, I can make out that they possibly do not have a defined range of products, or say the products conforming to the specifications. As during my presentation, I told very clearly that a firm to be able to get registered with DGAQA, the firm must have the defined product conforming to defined specifications. And yes, if this firm, they have not given the name of the firm, but yes, if the firm has the defined products and conforming to defined specifications, they can come to us. We will assess them on those criteria, and if they are found eligible, yes, we'll definitely register them under for those range of products. I hope I have answered. In case they have any cross question, I'm ready to answer that also.
Thank you, sir. I think it will be clarifying the requirements, but further they can email us their queries and we will answer in detail. There is one more question from SS Lahiri. Sir, Rajesh Yadav, sir. Just I am reading out the question.
Okay.
L1 in open tender policy does not always give sustained quality products. Award of contracts should be on factory verification.
Yeah, the question is from Mr. Lahiri. Yeah, Mr. Lahiri, see, you are saying that award of contract should be on factory verification. Yes, I told during my presentation itself that we visit the factory for capacity assessment and verification. And I also told that even in an open tender inquiry, if a firm bids and if its bid is considered eligible by the procurement agency, the firm has to mandatorily get its capacity verified from DGAQA before the procurement process can be processed further. And the capacity verification by DGAQA is basically for three things. One, whether the firm is capable of supplying the desired quantity of the quantity of the products. Second, whether the firm has got the capability to manufacture the products of the right quality. Third, whether the firm can deliver the goods within the desired time frame. So that answers your question. L1 only is not the criteria. The capacity verification by DGAQA is also carried out. So that is ingrained into the procurement process. And I think your question gets answered with this.
Thank you, sir. There are few more questions which I think we will be able to answer them through email if they can kindly give their emails. We are running short of time already, 20 minutes past from our scheduled time, sir. So with this, I think we will end up the webinar. We have been very exhaustive session. We have received a lot of appreciation from the participants. We thank all the participants. I hope that it will be useful to all the participants and our industry friends. I thank all the speakers from DGAQA, the organizer, DPEPP and DPIT, from MOD DDP, the participants from IAF, DRDO Labs, NAL, HL, recently formed ordnance factories, DPSUs, SAMILAC, DGAQA field establishments, industry forums, and all the industry partners. We are looking forward for such interaction in future also. Please feel free to contact us on our emails available on our website www.dgaeroqa.gov.in and let us together march towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Ajay. We can close the session, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.